This is the end. I get a lot of you guys probably even know who the Doors are. It's the end. I re-recorded this because my first one was a rage fest, and I don't think that's the best way to reach people at this stage, because I want to be clear. Clearly, we suck. Clearly, it's over. This team is not going to have a good season. We're going to get a new regime next year, and let's hope we don't wet the bed on that one. But I'm seeing on the Twitter a lot of stuff, and I disagree in some regards. I'm 90% in agreement with all of you. We suck. The defense sucks. McDaniel sucks. Tua didn't play good enough. But the why, I put together some graphics here to add context. And it's not to say one guy or this thing is... Tua is going to get a lot of heat, and he should. He played pretty well in some parts, but he's not elite. He gets tunnel vision at times. Threw nearly 3 picks. He threw too many picks, obviously. And he's not going to get on the move and uplift an offense that needed it. But the why in the soup is clear. This Patriots team wanted to give us the game. We came out terrible. We fought our way back. They kept trying to give it to us, but we threw it away. I thought we'd win by 1. I know that this loss is going to bring good stuff because it's going to bring an end to a lot of garbage. But I never like to see my team lose. My guy PJ was at the game, and I hate to see the fans paying all that money and having a bad time. But it's important. It's important to understand things in the clarity. So I'm going to get into it. I'm going to try to be as restrained as I can. I've got graphics for you to show you some stuff. Not to say this doesn't suck or that doesn't suck. The whole thing sucks. And this Patriots team in our house in the sun created the perfect framework for a victory. But they're a bad team too, and we didn't beat them. It's going to be very ugly going on the road. I know Chop got injured. I'm hoping he's okay. But it's over. But let's be clear, because if we're not clear on the whys, when the new regime comes in, we'll be fighting the same arguments. I thought at the end of this, we'd be pretty clear, but I don't think we're going to be fully clear. But I could be wrong. We'll dig into it. Guys, when you have a secondary that's this bad with slow linebackers, it creates that framework that we want to get the track meet going. But we got it at times. Tua screwed it up a little bit. The offensive line screwed it up a lot, in my opinion. I think that Tua and the offensive line were the main detractors to this offense. Look, Tua is an above-average quarterback with some elite skills. If you put him in the right framework, he'll do better. Will be good enough. I don't know. Some people are going to be like, oh, Tua sucks. Are you a Tua fan? No. Look at Jones transitioning. Look at Mac Jones succeeding with the 49ers. Look at Darnold and Mayfield. It's about framework. But this guy is asked to be elite for a bad framework, and he doesn't got it. The early on the drive, he threw it over the middle when Hill was open. He threw some picks. Julian Hill late in the game was running wide open. He should have seen him or could have seen him, but he throws the pick, and that hurt us. That wasn't easy. But this guy is a 7 to 8 in the right framework. In the wrong framework, it gets even less than the 7. And some people say he's a bottom 5 quarterback. Guys, the framework for this thing, and I know I'm going to lose people already, but I'm going to show you, not so you could be emotional, but you can look at the information. So look at this graphic here. May, okay? They don't have a good offensive line. They don't have great weapons. But look at this graphic here. You can see May on the left, Tua on the right. The purple box is the run attack. They had 29 rushes for 123 yards, 4.2 and a TD. We had 15 for 62. That's not a good balance, okay? It's not a good balance. Immediately, that puts the edge towards the framework for May. But look below that. It's kept clean time, 80% for 2.46 time to throw. Tua, 68% at 2.15. That's almost 0.3 second differential. And it's not to absolve Tua. This is, guys, the Tua thing is a piece of the puzzle. But what quarterback is going to be at their best? Look at the next pressure rate, 19%, Tua 31%. But this is the key. May was blitzed 42% of the time with only half the pressure rate. Tua was blitzed 11.4 and 3 times the pressure rate. Look at the play actions. He had 29 to help protect him, so that's definitely towards Tua's favor. He had less at 14%. Screen rate is doubled. And screens were the only way we could really get some stuff going at certain points of the game. But when you're blitzed 11%, that means 90% of the time you have 7 DBs. And there's no way you could take a guy that's to his skill set, to his ability, and expect him to succeed. Yes, he could have done better. But there was no way that this thing was going to happen unless you had a Josh Allen maybe. Look what Josh Allen's framework is compared to Tua. And I'm sure I'm losing people because you want me to say Tua is the end-all, be-all. He sucks if we had the right quarterback. No. Mayfield struggled in San Fran. He struggled in the Browns. But now look at him. Look at all these other quarterbacks having success. I don't know if he could stay healthy. I don't know if he could lift the team enough because Mayfield's got more moxie. He's more mobile. But this framework was set up by McDaniel and Grier. And this defense was terrible. Marshall had terrible coverage, but we were dependent on it. Jones, he had the nice coverage in the end zone. That was a catch. It was an amazing catch, but he struggled all day. We had Jalen Phillips in coverage 7 times, and he was no good because we're trying to take Jalen Phillips and Chubb and get him on the field at the same time, and we give Phillips a job that he's not meant for. Dotson was terrible. And yeah, Weaver, I didn't like some of his calls. I thought some of his calls were bad. But this secondary is terrible. You want to say Minkah Fitzpatrick, he played okay, but Melifanu struggled. Rasul Douglas didn't do so good. And because they were able to be blitzed 42% of the time and only get 19% pressure rate, now May has the movement skills that Tua doesn't. And you could say, we need a guy with movement skills. That's fair. Tua's arm isn't the biggest. He made some decent plays. He made some good plays along with these boneheaded plays. And I know it's Tua, McDaniel. And in a way it is. But you can't have an offense. We spent a second and third on Jonah. He was terrible. We got Borum and Keon Smith. They were terrible. Brewer, the guys that people are saying he's all pro, he wasn't good. And we have no tight ends. So this team was conceived by Grier. He is not average. He's terrible. McDaniel, he made adjustments, but it was grade school adjustments. He came out with 33% play action, keeping guys in the box with less guys in routes, and Tua was struggling trying to find guys because he doesn't have a lot of intestinal fortitude. But he adjusted it when he said, these guys are never blitzing. Let's go track meet, cut the play action in half, and we were starting to make hay. But as the game went on, we couldn't run the football enough, and they were getting pressure with only 4 guys, and it collapsed. So McDaniel made adjustments, but this is as easy adjustments as you can get. He can't make adjustments on the higher level. Now, they were sloppy. They to see Washington get that kick return, and PJ was sending me fans were so happy, and then to give up the kick return for a touchdown is insane. But for them to pass on second down, for them to have all their penalties, But we matched how many holding calls, how many late entries and illegal motions and delay of games and all the other stuff to screw it all up. That's a sign of your head coach and your coordinator is not good enough. And Tua clearly is a major piece of the problem. But this framework, no one wants, it's over and over again. It's not the offensive line. It is. I've told you about Greer years ago. I told you about McDaniel and this offense years ago. I told you about the offensive line years ago. But we all kind of believe it. But now a lot of people are back onto it's only Tua. Tua could be put into the right framework and have some more success than here, more consistency. I don't know if he would stay healthy. I don't know if he'd be good enough. But this was Dan Marino's offense with a guy who's not Dan Marino. He is a system quarterback that fits inside a certain framework, that he's a piece of the puzzle, and somebody wanted to make him to Dan Marino. He's not capable. He's not the quarterback for us, most probably. And, oh, no, he isn't. Ask the Browns about Mayfield when they went to Watson. Ask Darnold to the Jets when the Vikings were doing phenomenal with them. Yeah, he choked the end because he wasn't good enough. This defense, we asked Marshall, a 5th-round pick. We pulled Jack Jones off on the fly. We got a Duck, who I like a ton, especially for his name. He's a UDFA. And we grabbed Rasul Douglas from the museum, the fossil from the museum. And we got Melifanu, who's not that good, and Ashton Davis to carry this secondary. The front failed. Benito being out hurt us. Jordan Phillips played very well. Sealer played pretty well, all not super duper. But Chubb failed in the run defense. This team was not built right. Dotson was a major, major problem. I can't believe the difference between last year and this year. But the whole thing's a disaster. But if you fixate, just like I said for years, if you fixate on Tua, you're going to miss Greer and you're going to miss all this stuff. Everyone in the league, whatever level quarterback they have, they've enhanced their offensive line and tight end group and they play pass balance. And if they don't, they have issues. Look at Burrow, he's knocked out again. Look at Mahomes struggling last week. Look, you can see it. So yes, Tua's not the guy. He's not an elite quarterback. He's not, but look at Herbert. People making fun of Herbert. And now look at the system they're running. Look what they developed around him. And he's way more talented overall than Tua. But if we fixate on McDaniel, we fixate on Tua, then we're missing the understanding on a football level what it takes to win. And we miss the understanding that Greer is terrible. How many people said Greer's cooking, and Jackson, I'm sorry, and Eichenberg, I'm sorry, and Butch Barry, we trust. I'm not saying they did it on purpose, but they were wrong. And so you've got to fixate on the truth. We're soft on offense, and we don't have an elite quarterback. We have a subpar OC. Our DC's okay, but we got a ridiculous secondary. Who in the league is basing their secondary on the talents we have here? We're sloppy. We choke. We don't have intestinal fortitude, but it's an entire soup, guys. This team is going to get their behinds kicked against the Bills. We'll be 0-3. And don't see the mirage of the offensive output when you understand no one's blitzing us 10% of the time like that. And then having a cheap, terrible secondary, and then you're going to be in their house getting cooked. That's not going to be the same portable framework going forward. This is a great gig, but it's very tough because there is so much emotionalism and people just seem to forget things. We've got to fixate on the truth. We should have built like the 70s Dolphins more than the 80s Dolphins. This league is moving towards a different NFL cycle. Tua is a limited quarterback, but this offensive, Jonah was terrible. And we spent a second and third on him and then moved him to a position he's not comfortable with. And it's clear. So, guys, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not trying to, Tua, I love Tua, Tua non. I'm trying to give you information. There's not many people out there, and I got to be a little egotistical here, that have told you things way, 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 way years ahead. So I'm not saying I'm right, but please take what I'm saying, because the Dolphins media department will get you to fixate on certain things. And if you fixate on Tua, you fixate on McDaniel, then there is an opportunity that we come back with Greer. It's got to be the total thing, the designer, the philosophy, the leader, the quarterback, but then the internal team, our inability to control the line of scrimmage, most notably on offense, and the hype over players that shouldn't get hype. How many people told you every single one of these guys was going to be awesome? Grant had a decent day, but we relied too much on him. Jordan Phillips, excellent pick. So please understand, this was the most critical time period, because these guys are going to go. Ross has got to get his feet put in the fire in the right way, and we've got to be clear on the football evaluations. It starts at the line of scrimmage. But you go to the next level, just like our defense. Not bad up front, although when you're blitzing this much and you don't get home, but, secondary was terrible. But on offense, you cannot impose your will. You cannot run the football. You cannot get blitzing and change the leverage of defense. You're not going to make it. They tried it with Allen, with Dorsey, Shaky Bones Dorsey, and Dable, and it had 2 years, and then the team stopped blitzing, and he looked like garbage, and everyone was laughing at him. And then they went to pass balance, an offense that I told them I told the Bills fans in 21, the offense they ran in late 23 was what he needed. And now he's awesome and unbelievable. Yes, he's an awesome talent, but the framework sets everything. Understand that. Stay focused. The changes are coming. But if you don't hold the Dolphins brass feet to the fire on all the right things, then they're going to sell you again the same failed bill of goods. We are not coming back this season, but we've got to be on board. We've got to be unified on the majority of things, very close, to keep this team, or they're going to sell us the same stuff again. So this game, I could break it down even more for you, but it is all Tua now. And it should be in part Tua. It's the defense, but why? I have people that are just not really, because we're so hurt. And it's so easy to fixate on certain pieces. But let's fixate on all of them and be clear of the football understanding, or the lies will swarm us and they'll stick it to us again. So that's it. We'll lose in Buffalo. Maybe we'll beat the Jets. But it's the end of the road for this regime. Anyway, Curtis saying, be well, go Fins. Curtis out. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.